Welcome to a new video with the electric trucker. The trailer is fully loaded with fast charging stations, and I'm taking them to Sweden. And in Copenhagen, I accidentally get to check out the battery trailer from Trailer Dynamics. This time I'm starting Sunday evening, but I've learned from the last trip. The fridge is fully stocked, and I got some sleep in advance, so it doesn't turn into a brutal marathon like last time. It's just before 2, and I've reached my first charging stop at a small Aral station. I've been here before. It's a good spot to park with the trailer, both at night and during the day. We're getting a solid 300 kilowatts, so I'll take my rest break here and add this charging location to the app. I'm now heading toward Rostock to catch the ferry to Denmark. But first, I'll make a stop at a truck charging park near Berlin that I haven't been to before. After driving the ETGX, I have to readjust a bit, because the Iveco uses a bit more energy. Even though it has a bigger battery, it doesn't go much further, so I can't just skip a stop. Every rest break needs to be used for charging. I've driven 513 kilometers now and just got off the Autobahn to check out a small Milans charging park. It's not a full Milans rest stop, but I had to ring the bell to get in and charge. I can park for an hour for free, and the direction to Milans is well signposted. And this is the guy who opened the gate for me. He's even showing me exactly where to go. That's some service. I really like it here. There are 2 chargers, and there's a lounge with showers, toilets, and free coffee. When I met with the MAN executive board after I returned the ETGX, they asked me for feedback on truck charging parks. From a driver's perspective, toilets, showers, and secure parking are perfect. A fancy roof over the charging spots might look impressive, but not needed. Most truck stops don't have roofs, and building them is expensive. If that extra cost ends up making charging more expensive, fleet operators rather send their drivers somewhere cheaper. That's why I think this kind of setup is sufficient. A big parking lot, clearly marked bays, and some bollards to keep the chargers safe. And it's even better when you can use facilities that are already there. In the end, truck charging is all about costs. One small downside here. My truck could technically charge at 330 kilowatts, but I'm only getting 291 here. The voltage goes up as the state of charge increases, but the amps are going down. It's not a deal breaker, but I'll pass that info on to Milans. It's 9 now, and it's time to wrap it up for today. Everything went smoothly so far, and the consumption is at 1.15 kilowatt hours per kilometer. That's a bit more than the ETGX, which ended up at 1.05, but honestly, not such a huge difference. When you're driving steadily on flat roads at 82 kilometers per hour, the consumption levels tend to even out. So the Iveco's efficiency isn't bad at all. I'm ending today at this truck stop with a small Shell charging park. The setup here is funny. Several older 175 kilowatt ABB chargers, one Alpatronic 150 with 2 plugs but only 1 parking space, and an Alpatronic 300. Looks like Shell cleared out their storage and installed whatever they had. In the last video, I showed you the 1000 kilowatt Alpatronic system with the separate dispenser setup. But that concept isn't new. These chargers here have the same system. The difference with the Alpatronic system is that it has a switching matrix, so the rectifiers can be reassigned dynamically. That makes it way more flexible compared to this older systems that is limited to 175 kilowatts. You can mix CCS and MCS and adjust the output dynamically, which is a big upgrade. Now I'm off to bed and I'll hit the road again tonight. Good morning. I'm heading toward the coast because my ferry departs at 4:15. It's 1:30, so I still have a bit of time. On the way there, there's an Aral truck charging station I've never been to before, so I'm stopping by to top off the battery for Denmark. And this place feels like a textbook example of a gas station, but totally empty at night. There are a few regular car charging spots, but more importantly, 2 dedicated truck bays. And these aren't your typical bays. It's a completely new layout with 1 charger per bay, designed specifically for trucks with charging ports on the left side and extra long cables. I'm also getting my full 300 kilowatts here. This could be the new standard layout for Aral's truck charging parks. I'm using the time to update the Electric Trucker app by entering all the data from the charging parks I've visited over the past few days. The idea is that in the app, you'll be able to see whether you can spend the night at a location, whether it's accessible for cars, which will matter later for caravans, and if there are toilets or free coffee, or if it's a secure parking spot. I'm also noting the charging hardware, which Alpatronic chargers, what kind of cables, and whether two bays share a single charging station. So the database is getting better day by day. Later on, other users will be able to contribute as well. But for the first launch, we're building it all ourselves. At the border, I was stopped and had to show my papers. The officer asked where I had loaded the truck, and when I said Italy, he was surprised I had made it all the way here with an electric truck. I gave him a quick explanation, and he wasn't even interested in the cargo anymore. I'm just across the warehouse where I dropped off my 22 chargers. Everything went pretty quick. I just had to enter my reservation number, and I've already been assigned the ramp beforehand. Now I'm parked here, waiting for the instructions for the return trip. I've got a return run from Lübeck to Ulm, so I need to be in Lübeck early tomorrow morning. That means I'll have to go back through Denmark, so I'm heading towards the ferry now. I just found out that the ferry I'm taking still runs on diesel, but they plan to convert it to electric. Then all the ferries between Helsingborg and Helsingør will be electric, and all of them can charge here with 10.4 megawatts. My shift is over and I'm back at that E.ON charging park where we've been with the convoy. Back then we had no issues charging, except that the Iveco had a water pump problem that limited it to 150 kilowatts. But now we're facing a problem from a few weeks ago at the E.ON charging park in Germany. The charger tries to push over 500 amps and then just stops charging. That means I can't charge at any of the stations here. The problem is known, but it's a shame the info isn't shared between countries, since it's the same company. But knowing why it doesn't work makes it less frustrating. I'm at 28% now, and we'll have to find another charging station tomorrow. A truck just left a trailer in the charging bays. And that's actually the Trailer Dynamics battery trailer. Emin saved the day for us. Seeing the trailer here in the wild is amazing.
This is our Trailer Dynamics E-Trailer, an electrically powered trailer from Krone equipped with our electric components. At the back is a battery, then our specially developed electric axle with 580 kilowatt peak power and the main part of the batteries. In total, the trailer has 551 kilowatt hours of usable capacity. We also offer two smaller versions with 367 and 184 kilowatt hours. You can hook it up to an electric truck or a diesel truck. With diesel, you get the benefit of reducing fuel consumption by 30 to 40%. And with an electric truck, it massively increases the range. It knows whether to brake or accelerate thanks to a sensor-equipped kingpin. This kingpin detects if the truck is pulling or pushing and adjusts the torque to the electric axle accordingly. We're charging at 150 kilowatts, but in the future our trailers will be able to charge at 350 kilowatts. With the largest battery with 551 kilowatt hours, there's an additional weight of 4.5 tons. But there are plenty of volume transports where that doesn't matter at all. And it also has an electric landing gear.
Thank you for showing it to us. I'm really curious to test it out myself sometime. Good morning. This week's working hours are pretty interesting. It's just before 2, and I've already driven a bit. Yesterday, I had trouble charging, so now I drove about an hour south to an Ionity charging park. At night, there's plenty of space to maneuver, but during the day, you can't really get in there with a trailer. And the charger works perfectly with a full 500 amps. I'm going to sleep a bit now, and then try to get to the customer quickly. I'm now in Rudby, and since I've done this before, everything is fast and straightforward. We'll also get straight onto the next ferry. What I was thinking about, besides trucks, what else is getting electrified? City buses are already partially electric nowadays, but long-distance buses are an interesting topic. Maybe I should get a bus license next for the channel. I'm loaded with 34 pallets. Check this out. I hope that I can properly close the doors. 34 pallets is the absolute maximum. My trailer is packed with cosmetics. It's a nice volume shipment, and actually weighs under 10 tons. I had to wait 3 hours, then load it myself for an hour. Now I can't drive much longer because I started early this morning, plus Thursday is a holiday. It's going to be tight to deliver by Friday. Krümelix is having a little evening snack, and we're spending the holiday at this gas station with a few Errol chargers. On holidays, there's a driving ban from midnight until 10 in the evening. So I'm curious how many people will still show up and spend the day here. Normally you try to avoid the holiday, but that's part of the trucker life. What's important for me is being at a staffed rest stop with toilets and food options so you can get something to eat if needed. There are truckers who sleep somewhere without even a toilet. That's really hardcore. That's how my holiday looks like. This morning it was completely quiet, but now in the afternoon, more and more diesel engines are running. Some have the air conditioning on, which slowly drains the 24-volt battery, so they have to start the engine or else they can't drive tomorrow. Otherwise, this feels a lot like camping. My last trip of the week is about to start, and I'm charged up again. I can only get 230 kilowatts, and I had a few theories about what could be causing it, but since I can't access the communication between the truck and the charger, I can only pass it on to the manufacturers and Alpitronic. And once I get info on what caused it, I'll definitely share it with you. For example, at that Malmö charger where I only got 290 kilowatts at the beginning of this week, it turned out to be a wrong configuration. We sorted it out, and they already sent a software update. I've driven 350 kilometers south, the maximum I could during my driving time, and now I'm in Rothenburg ob der Tauber. Everything here is brand new, and the cables still feel stiff. There's not a single truck around, as if it was just built, and I'm the very first to discover it. But I'll have to contact Errol about this charging park because even I don't get what's going on here. I plugged into the first charger, but the charging power on both plugs was only 195 kilowatts. Since there's plenty of space, I moved to the other charger, but the first plug only gave 100 kilowatts. Then the second plug worked with 300 kilowatts. I've arrived 10 minutes early and now I have to go to this big warehouse. Warehouses are always exciting to unload at. Job done, and that was a wild experience. There were 6 ramps and 6 trucks, and then they just said, grab any ramp. That caused chaos because everyone wanted to get to a ramp fast. I don't know why people were in such a hurry, but inside it was really busy too. You have to use one of those electric pallet movers to put pallets onto a conveyor belt, and then everything is processed automatically. Those little pallet movers were driving all over the place, and for the first time I thought, good thing I'm wearing safety boots. Getting your foot run over by one of those is no fun. A lot of warehouses are pretty chill. You wait a long time, get a pager, and eventually get your turn. But here everything was super fast. I made it to Munich. I washed the truck, and now it's parked here at Messe München for the Power to Drive event. Next week I'm getting stopped by the police while driving from Italy to Sweden. If you want to see the video earlier, you can get early access with a YouTube membership. Have a great day and see you next week. Ciao.